And here is Nidra. I finally made it downhill. Beautiful, quiet Mnajdra. Listen. Hush, just the birds chirping. I'm alone here as well. Nobody has visited the place so far this morning, which is even better for me.
Mnajdra is probably the most scenic of all the temples. It is tucked in the southern cliffs, protected from the elements, with no modern buildings in sight. We can only see the surrounding landscape, with the sea and the islet of Filfla in the distance. Mnajdra was discovered a year after Ħaġar Qim in 1840. It has 3 temples, with the oldest being built during the Gigantea phase, between 3600 and 3200 BC. This is known as the Eastern Temple. The most famous of the 3 temples is undoubtedly the Southern Temple, which was built during the Joseon phase between 3150 and 2500 BC. The third temple was built around 2000 BC, and it's situated between the Eastern and Southern Temple right in the middle. This area is the oldest temple, the first one built. Here is the Middle Temple, the last one to be built. As you can see, it is set at a higher level on a sort of terrace or platform. And this is the Southern Temple, which, as you've already heard, is the most famous of the 3 due to its astronomical alignment, which we'll explore very soon.
Like Ħaġar Qim, the Southern Temple of Nidra has those benches, as you can see. And on the ground, as we're approaching, we can also see a hole similar to the one we saw in Ħaġar Qim. I'm now entering the Southern Temple. The stillness of the place instills a sense of reverence. It must have been very sacred for our ancestors. Now again, we see an apse on each side. The apse on the left, with a beautiful porthole and slabs with drilled hole designs. Another apse in the far distance, in the background. Unfortunately, we cannot go any further, as always happens. And now the apse on the right, with a porthole to a smaller apse, and 2 holes which are believed to be oracle holes. So this chamber is believed to be an oracle chamber. Now again, As the oracle chamber in Ħaġar Qim, this chamber has the same features, the same structural features. The courses on the top go inwards. Each course goes inwards. It's very similar to what we would call a corbelled ceiling. So, at least if not the entire temples, but some sections of the temples must have been covered, must have been roofed. We're not sure whether it would have been all of them, the entire temples, but definitely some chambers were. This is even bigger than the one in the main entrance of Ħaġar Qim. And like Ħaġar Qim, we can also see the holes. Were they 4 doors? And on both sides there are huge orthostats. This one over here and this one over here. Evidence of preservation here is undoubtedly great, because the pitting design in Mnajdra is far better preserved than the pitting designs in Ħaġar Qim. Although Ħaġar Qim has slabs which have these types of pitting, they are heavily weathered because, as you've heard, Ħaġar Qim is situated at the top of the hill, whereas this one is at the very bottom. So basically it has been protected from the elements. Now the southern temple of Nidra is associated with the changing seasons. In fact, many consider Nidra as a sort of calendar because it marks the beginning of the seasons. Basically, on the equinox in March and in September, the rising sun shines through this trilithon. Then, in October, it shines here. In November, at the very edge of this slab over here, and then winter solstice on the full slab. Then back again at the edge in January, February back here, the March equinox, April here, May, the edge of this one, this slab, and the summer solstice, the full slab. Going back, July, the edge of the slab, August, this slab, and September again, the equinox. The sun shines through the trilithon. So as you can see, it basically covers all the months and the beginning of the seasons. Amazing. This is the small temple, which is considered the first and oldest temple. In the middle, you can see the filling, which is typical of certain parts of our temples to stabilize and strengthen the structure. Now, interestingly, the altar, which I'm currently focusing on, especially this slab over here, has horizontal pittings which are irregular. Now, these are one of the interpretations available for this design, is that these irregular pittings are associated with the different phases of the moon. However, it's basically open to debate, open to interpretation. So, again, nobody knows what they represent. The design is quite irregular, in fact, which is why it has given rise to several interpretations, especially this one, which is the most predominant one.
Here is a sketch of the stone, which, as you can see, has many drilled holes arranged in different right-aligned rows. Could we refer to it as the calendar stone if we accept the interpretation that it represents different periods determined by the moon?
This is the facade of this Eastern temple. As we keep walking, we reach the Middle Temple, which was the most recently constructed, or the last one to be constructed, most recently in terms of the three, obviously. We can see the broken porthole. It must have looked like the portholes in Ħaġar Qim and the smaller one in the southern temple. And the floor has these, what I would call flagstones of a regular shape. Others even bigger. The sizes vary. And we're entering now this Middle Temple, as I'm joined in the background by another two visitors. A beautiful apse, upright slabs in the first course, and the second and third course horizontal slabs, which move inwards as well as they rise. Another similar apse here with the same design. Now, before we enter the inner part of this Middle Temple, we look to our left and we see this carving. It has been speculated that this is a carving, a model of a temple, what temples must have looked like. And as we can see very clearly here, there is a roof. So again, it strengthens the theory that the temples were once built with a roof. Yes, they were built, but they had a roof. And this is the inner area. again has the same feature, but this time round only a second course of horizontal slabs without a third, and another porthole. And what could be termed as an altar at the back. And we're exiting. Here again we see signs of small holes as well, where they're used for wooden doors. Who can tell? Here we can see the megaliths at the back of the Mnajdra complex. Unlike Ħaġar Qim, we cannot walk around the perimeter. We're not allowed. The area is cordoned off. Unless we keep walking, we also notice smaller stones. I'm being careful not to trip. Especially on the side. On the side we have smaller stones. Now this side, that is the outer wall of the southern temple, which was the second one built. So it's quite strange that it has smaller blocks. Let me zoom in here. It has smaller blocks, considering that it was built soon after the first one. Could this outer wall be a later addition? Why aren't there any megaliths like the rest? This is the side wall of the southern temple now. I have a clearer view of the side wall. Unfortunately, we cannot see it from below. It's quite frustrating, honestly, when you see areas which are closed off to the public and you're unable to see them closely and observe and explore. This is the best that we can do. I've just come across this area which has cut marks. Could this be where our ancestors quarried the stone for Nidra? In fact, it's quite close to Nidra. Let me show you. This area is over here. And in Nidra, is right behind us. See? Could this be the quarry? Again, we can only speculate. I've left Mnajdra, going back up to Ħaġar Qim and to the visitor center. We are lucky that at least these two sites are still situated on pristine land. Nothing has been built around them. So we can see basically the landscape pretty close to how it was 5,000-6,000 years ago. Other sites haven't been this lucky because they have been engulfed by lots of buildings, houses, structures. They are now situated in urban areas, whereas Ħaġar Qim and Nidra are still blessed with a rural landscape. The others haven't been that lucky. They haven't escaped, unfortunately, the throngs of our modern civilization. Unfortunately indeed. God only knows how many things have been destroyed, how many artifacts, how much of our prehistoric heritage has been demolished or buried even deeper under houses. Pretty much like the Hazaflin Hypogeum, which was truly a miracle, finding it and at least conserving it for future generations. Thank you for joining me today. This is Moira from Raven Expeditions. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel for future videos. Thank you.